Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the men who stare at Sportsball. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and today I have two of my good brothers in the temple with me. We have our resident Blue Ranger and the person who is going to be slandering a certain team in Toronto as much as I do. Good brother Maddie.
Hell yeah.
And
how's it going, everybody?
We have the man who must suffer the indignity of Georgia sports every year. Good brother Coops.
Georgia does not need another hockey team, though I am more than happy to shit on the Capitals if one person, if I know, is going to be watching this stream.
Oh yeah. And as far as hockey went, this was an interesting year. There was some bits of predictable. There was some bits of experimenting. There was the very interesting experience with the Four Nations tournament, which I do hope comes back. And it was especially funny to see that completely pants the NBA All-Star game with PK Subban going into detail.
Hey. Let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA tried to do a thing. They were trying to do a particular situation where they toss a ball in a net and celebrities overpaid for their tickets just for status.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL decided to initiate professional hockey World War IV. Or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Or 6. There's been a lot of wars in hockey. A lot of wars in hockey.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a whole book about it. I have that book. Anybody who wants to see some of the chaos of the early 2000s, read the book Blood Feud.
Mm-hmm.
But or just look at a documentary about the Saints Day Massacre. But you know me, Maddie. This sort of chaos, I live for that kind of thing. I mean, that's part of the reason I end up falling in with the Fed League. Where not only is it the case where you can have bench clearing brawls to the point where even the coaches get involved, but also all of the teams talking shit on each other on every form of social media. Not just making fun of rivals, getting into the social medias for various teams in that league, getting into full-on arguments with each other. This is the kind of thing I'm here for. But I know that Tree said that things were a bit more predictable and a bit less predictable in the NBA. I think both were at a certain level of unpredictable. If only because it's just a case of unpredictable in different ways. Even if you may have some similar teams showing up, the thing is, you never know what's going to happen, and what can be a sure thing in hockey is not a sure thing.
Look at the Leafs.
We will get to that.
Any other team, that core four with the right coaching and everything else, that's a dynasty.
We will get to the Leafs, but as we've done in previous episodes of this series, we're going to be tearing up how the teams did for this season, both in the regular season and in the postseason. There's probably going to be an asterisk because I'm certain that in about a week, chaos is going to reign even further because, trade deadline.
Yeah.
and there's already a few.
Well, not trade deadline, unrestricted free agency.
Yep. Which means we're going to be seeing a lot of moves being made a lot of fast.
So at this point, we're simply speculating.
Mm-hmm. But I know I usually give a special title for each of these when it comes to the NFL, but I don't think that's going to be necessary for this one, since it's more about how well they did. And we start off once again. Actually, before we start off, I do have to note one thing. Even though they were called the Utah Hockey Club this year, they finally have a name. The former Coyotes are now the Utah Mammoths. Which, Mammoths in Utah wasn't my first choice personally, but
I get the feeling a couple of names went by and the lawyers went and say no.
Well, let's not forget the Vegas wanted to go with the Vegas Knights, but the problem is, Knights is the team name for the Army football team, so that got kiboshed.
Like I said, legal saw it and went and said no.
Mm-hmm. So, with that said, we start off as we always do with the Anaheim Ducks. Ducks, can you get out of the basement for once? I'm kind of sick of putting you at the bottom every year I do this.
How do you like your duck? How do you like your duck? Original recipe or extra fucking crispy?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I can't say it's management. I can't say it's players, but they have just been drifting about the last few years with no real direction. So once again, I got to put them in D.
Oh, they had a D here anyway. It wouldn't have mattered what they did. They just got butt fucked.
Mm-hmm. In fact, let me see what their record was. Okay. So let's see. They're in the West, so let me see. Well, they weren't the worst in the Pacific. They managed to get. They were 35-37. So.
Okay, so they did something.
Yeah.
Did this help them win though? Abso-fucking-lutely not.
No.
Oh.
Oh. I can't even say they're the dirt worst. They're just the ultimate mid.
Which is a fate worse than death.
Mm-hmm. So, Ducks, get your shit together, or we're going to be doing this again in a year.
We don't mind doing it. We just hate doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, maybe. As much as I pick on Disney these days, maybe Disney buying them back might be a better idea.
Maybe they can finally become the Mighty Ducks.
Mm-hmm. But
again?
But at what cost?
Ballin'. But at what
That
cost?
is the $1 million question there, Coops.
But next up, we have the Boston Bruins.
Holy shit! Look, y'all were doing bad. We're not denying it, but did you have to blow it up that hard?
They were the bottom bitch of the Atlantic.
But to blow it up so hard, but to sell your fucking captain?
Yeah. They decided to just blow everything up.
They literally chose, hey, if we can't fuck them over, if we can't fuck over the NHL the way we want to, we're going to nuke it either way. Translation: they sent Marchand to Florida and basically gave him the invincibility. They gave him God mode.
Yeah. The boys club. It's back to the boys club bullshit when it comes to the Bruins. So, Anaheim, you've got some company for now. I don't think anyone's going to object to them being in D as well.
No choice in that matter.
I mean, it's a sound strategy. You can't choke in the playoffs if you don't make them.
There you go.
It's true.
So, then we have the Buffalo Sabres, who are just slightly less shit than the Bruins this year.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, that's It's not saying much, actually.
And a lot of it comes down to some really bad decisions that the Sabres have made this year, and them still paying for bad decisions they've made over the last 3 years. Least of which being whoever thought the Buffa Slug was a good idea all those years ago. No, I'm not letting that go.
No one should.
Mm-mm. But I'd say, what do you think? D? Do you think D? Because I'd say they were bad enough to qualify for D.
They're on their way out of D, if nothing else.
Yeah, so D.
Probably a high D.
If they keep going the way that they are, maybe they can at least graduate to a first round exit. It's not much, but it's improvement.
I can accept that.
But then come one, come all to the Toss and Avalanche, also known as the Calgary Flames.
D. Little brothers got struck again.
Yeah. Just with the Flames, it's a case of they don't have anybody who really is that guy. So it ends up being a case of just drifting about.
Pretty much.
You keep this up, Flames, and I'm gonna start calling you Canadian Atlanta.
Oh, jeez, it's like they. Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
See, that joke works on many levels.
Ladies and gentlemen, that joke that Monk just said has fucking layers, man.
Yep. But yeah, with Calgary, they didn't do any major fuck ups. It's just that they were exceptionally mid. And let me see where they were in the West. They were fourth in the West. Well, fourth in the Pacific, I should say.
Sounds about right.
Only getting 41 games, 27 losses, and just 4 points shy of getting triple digits, and because of that, it was a case of they were almost good enough to make it in, which arguably is more painful.
Oh.
But then we have the Carolina Hurricanes.
Please don't come to our playoff games.
Yeah,
I mean, they were at this point. They suck, man.
I'll give them credit. They managed to go farther than I thought they would. it's just, and they were really good. It's just that, unfortunately, Florida was better.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, you could argue that they're almost set up for it, because in the playoffs they faced New Jersey, who I think had no business being there yet.
There's gonna be a couple of teams where it's like, ooh, you guys are up here early, but hey, good for you. Here's your paddling.
And Washington, who pretty, I feel like after Ovechkin broke the scoring record, it's like the momentum with Washington deflated a little bit.
It's tough to measure, because yes, there is the momentum of all that celebration, and of course the ultimate goal is that cup.
Yeah.
But if you're Washington, you're fine, and we'll get to the Caps here. For the Hurricanes, though, Jesus, man, I don't know what you do. That's the ultimate question at this point. It's like, what do you do?
You could always piss off Brian Burke some more. That seems to work out.
Oh yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But I am putting them in B. They have graduated
Let's put
from
it
the
this way.
basement.
D and C, it's like you didn't make the playoffs. D, you sucked. C, I mean, it sucks, but hey, you're doing better than D. B, A, and S are playoff teams.
Yeah. And they've graduated from being in the basement that they were in a few years ago. Now they've gone to being from the basement to being bridesmaids.
Hey, you're getting there.
But hopefully they don't do something stupid and try and blow it up or do some massive overhaul. Though, for the love of God, get yourself some stable goaltending. That seems to be the problem you keep having.
Yeah, that's the issue. Hey, you know what? It's weird. It's a case of you need a goalie that peaks in time for the playoffs and is in peak form. Bobrovsky was that goaltender, and we'll get to the Cats obviously, but yeah, that's the thing. Like that, they made it, but not enough.
So then we have the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mid.
Yeah. I know that they got a lot of people. Well, first off, they were bottom of the Central Division, so we kind of have to put them in D. But there's just the fact that even though they've gotten top draft picks, they haven't done anything. And fortunately for the rest of us, it means that it'll be a few more years before we have to hear Chelsea Dagger everywhere. No, I'm not letting that go either.
I don't expect you to let that go.
No one should.
But yeah, with the Blackhawks, it's just a case of you guys need some help. So hopefully you spend some money on free agency in a month, because what you're doing isn't getting you anywhere but mid. Or if this season is any indication of punching bag. But going from the close to the north to the further north, we have the Colorado Avalanche.
Definitely B tier, because again, they made the playoffs and they gave Dallas 7 games.
They gave Dallas.
You can't fault that.
there's also the fact that I think they're still dealing with some lingering championship hangover.
Yeah.
Even if it was a while ago, it was a case of, okay, you got out of the basement, but trying to run it back is always harder than getting there the first time. And at the end of the day, Dallas was just better than you. But so then we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and okay, I have to put them in D, but it is with a massive asterisk that they were just screwed over by the passing of Johnny Gaudreau.
I'll give the Blue Jackets all the credit in the world for powering through again, the loss of Johnny Gaudreau, that just took the wind out of the sails, but they were still a pain in the ass to deal with. Mm-hmm. Again, credit where credit is due.
Which makes me
wonder
what
they did was not easy.
Which makes me wonder if they intend on adopting the pain in the ass approach that we see with the Detroit Lions in football.
That was exactly what I was referencing. And I hope they do. You need a team like that. That you may win, but you're getting chunks out of your head.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm putting them in D, but fair play to them given everything that happened to them, and hopefully they can bounce back. And I don't expect them to make any deep runs for a while, but show signs of improvement. But then we have Dallas, who
put him in A tier.
Yeah,
they deserve A tier.
They had a banger of a series against the Oilers for the conference for the conference final. Pretty sure they took enough of a chunk out of the Oilers that they couldn't even make it a 7-game series in the Stanley Cup final. And there's like a couple minor moves away from still being an elite team.
Yeah, Dallas, the way that they are now, unless a overhaul happens, they are going to be a consistent playoff pest. So, fair play to them. We'll see you back in here next year, because I have a strong feeling you're going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Which means we'll have to deal with the return of Death by Pantera.
Could be worse.
Speaking of worse, Detroit.
I mean,
oh shit!
This might be the last season we are laughing at Detroit as a bottom dweller team. They have been slowly but steadily improving.
I feel like putting them in C. I mean, they got 6th in their division. But what we're seeing here, I'd say, is what we saw with the Lightning. You know, before Eisman came in, the Lightning was an absolute joke. And it didn't happen immediately, but gradually the Lightning became a powerhouse until they ended up winning back-to-back cups. And even if part of that may or may not have been due to a certain Yinzer bullying them into being a champion.
You doing urinating tree?
But like I said, Red Wings are C. They're not there. They are nowhere near playoff ready yet, but they're getting close.
But they are on the come up. They are going to be a team. It's going to be very interesting how they draft and how they maneuver the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But they are a team to watch nonetheless.
Oh yeah. And then we have Edmonton. And I would have there's a small part of me that would have loved to see Edmonton go all the way, if only so I could see the celebrations that our buddy Neff would do. But I will give you this: Oilers, you are now the proud owners of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'll say this: yes, the Corey Perry curse is real, but they're still S tier. Two teams at S tier. Well, that's one of them right there.
Yeah. They came up short this time, maybe because they just lost by attrition.
Honestly, that's more management than players. I think management kept coaching, tried to do the same thing near the end of the Stanley Cup series, and that cost them when they should have just adjusted. That being said, yeah, earned S tier. Again, they just ran out of gas against a team that was all gas, no brakes.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, Florida Panthers, S tier, obviously.
S tier, they're the Stanley Cup champions. They got Brad Marchand, Sam Bennett, fucking Kachuk.
Yeah.
We knew when that trade happens, I'm like, oh God, they are going to be the team to beat out of the East. And
them boys
folks, they were the team to beat out of the East.
Them boys went fucking crazy, man.
It's kind of funny that
you ain't kidding.
It's kind of funny that a decade ago they were a struggling identity team, and now they are back-to-back champions.
Credit to Kachuk and Bennett. Credit to Paul Maurice.
Yep. And what was really funny was during the Stanley Cup celebrations, the fans were chanting "Thank you, Boston."
hey, at least they're polite about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
they knew.
Yeah, but you know, I've seen some say that Florida is becoming the evil empire like the Patriots were. I don't see it that way.
They gotta win more than 2 cups.
And it's not easy to three-peat in any sport. I know people say that it's hardest to three-peat in football, but it's just as difficult to do that in hockey. If anything, it's even worse.
It's difficult to do in any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. The three-peat in any sport is a near impossibility. Like I said, and especially in the NBA, they're in an era of parity right now. Like they no championship is safe.
Mm-hmm. I know somebody would say, well, is it easier to three-peat in motor racing? Different setup, so that's not really as applicable. Even if teams like Red Bull are at the top when it comes to F1, your spot at the top is extremely tenuous, and Red Bull is the embodiment of chaos. So, and when it comes to hockey, there's so many moving parts, and what can seem like a sure thing early on can bite you in a day. So, plus there's the fact that a lot of what Florida did was simply taking advantage of the missteps of other teams. So, as far as especially since you can't be as dominant with the sheer amount of games. I mean, it's not like they were completely unbeaten. Florida.
To be fair, they still made the playoffs, so that does put them in B tier, but more towards the bottom though. Like that would be where they would belong. again, it's not being able to beat their eternal rivals, the Western Conference champion or Edmonton Oilers.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, the Kings got here at least after not getting there for a few years.
Again, progress.
You know, it's a case of congratulations, you've graduated to playoff contention. Now bend over for your paddling. But then we get to my Minnesota Wild, and I gotta put them in B once again. Oh, I've already ranted about how sports in Minnesota is cursed, and they did better than I think I expected them to. But on the other end, when I saw that we were up against the Golden Knights, I was like, we're fucked.
Yeah, this is literally seeding wise. They had a bad draw, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. That said, though, hell of a series.
Hell of a series. They did not go down easy.
They did not go down easy. They went down fighting. So it's it's tough to watch, but honestly, it could have been way worse.
Yeah. It was nice to see essentially the swan song of Marc-Andre Fleury in hockey. It's very clear that Kirill is that guy, and at long last, we are free of those two really fucking bad deals from all those years ago.
At this point, it's literally let the games begin.
The big anchor around Minnesota for the longest time was overpaying for Suter and Parisi. Yeah, it was a massive get that they got both of them, but much like with the Herschel Walker trade in the Vikings, which is a sore spot even to this day, they overpaid. And because they overpaid, and because of how long because even with a deferred contract, they were paying the price for that for years. Now they're finally free, so they can hopefully spend some money to get Kirill some damn help, so he's not breaking his back carrying everything.
That's the hope, and hopefully that does the trick.
But I've had my moment of drinking, and yes, Kier, I am well aware of the Frost being back-to-back champions. However,
hey, you know what? That is something to celebrate,
and it most definitely is. Especially with such a young league.
By the way, Kier, thank you for reminding me that the Frost won and not my Ottawa fucking Charge. Fuck you too.
But next, we have the Canadiens.
Not much drink need to be done on my end, because here's the thing, folks. They made it earlier than they should have. And if the last 15 games are any indication, you knew, like, okay, they didn't have all the pieces together. They gave credit to all the credit in the world. They gave the Capitals a fight, but there are players who are in it because they want to win the cup, and there are players who are in it because they want the paycheck and they just want the jersey. Nothing wrong with that, but in a hockey town like Montreal, you better be in there for the fucking cup.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Although I do hope we get a situation where the biggest tower in Toronto gets lit up in Leafs colors again, because that was one of the greatest.
In Habs colors, yeah.
Oh yeah,
that would be cool.
But,
and they're definitely B tier if for nothing else, just the fucking effort it took. Also, Ivan Demidov In the small sample size we got him, Jesus Christ, keep him, keep Caulfield, keep Suzuki. There's a few other names in there. Jesus Christ, I do. The draft and the off season are going to be very interesting to follow.
Oh yeah. So next we've got Nashville, and I have to wonder if Nashville is still suffering the effects of being too good right now.
Oh, they are.
They weren't the dirt worst in the Central. That's the Blackhawks, but they were second to dirt worst. So, plus I haven't seen a whole lot of movement from them in terms of improvement. It was. Let's be honest. With Nashville, they're in a rebuilding phase after multiple early exits in the playoffs. So, I'd say they're a D.
Yeah.
At least.
But then we get to New Jersey, who may or may not be in the middle of a rebuild. I swear to God, the Devils are in a perpetual rebuild. But I mean, they made the playoffs at least.
Which puts them in B tier.
Mm-hmm. That's where I got to put them because it was a case of you made the playoffs, but maybe you were a little bit earlier than scheduled.
This rebuild is working. Keep going there. Don't rebuild the rebuild again.
Yeah. The frustrating thing with the Devils has been the fact that whenever things don't go right in the playoffs or they just miss the postseason, they end up panicking, and we're right back at the vicious cycle again. So, have some patience, do not panic. You'll be back.
Take it slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then
Slow ride, take it easy.
Then we have the New York Islanders. The team that has to suffer the fandom of MJF. Poor bastards.
Yeah, actually, considering how he's beloved in Long Island, I think that's a curse they enjoy.
Oh, there's worse things they could bring up when it comes to. Look, if I want to give Islanders fans 1,000 young stares, they just have to say 2 words: John Spanos.
Yup.
Also the fish stick jerseys. You know the ones.
Yeah.
There is a 30 for 30 documentary called Big Shot. Watch it. It's good.
Mm-hmm. But with the Islanders, it's funny where they were a few years ago, where it seemed like they were on the up and up, but something happened, and they haven't quite been on the gas. They were 6th in the Metro Division this year. In fact,
I'll give you a big reason. John Tavares.
Yeah.
He left.
Yeah, Tavares is gone, and he was their guy. They ended up getting a perfect 35 and 35. 35 wins, 35 losses. Which, impressive, but that's not going to get you into the postseason. But I have I don't know. I feel like I should put them in D. I feel like I should put them in D because, they lost their top guy, so it's a case of where do you go from here?
Again, interesting off season for the Isles too.
Mm-hmm. So you got you've got to do something to get somebody who can be that guy or close to that guy. But next, we interrupt this broadcast to bring you All My Rangers.
Sell the team, Dolan.
Yep.
So the fucking team is over.
So
He won't.
I gotta put them in D. If for no other reason than the Rangers have been a drama show for the last year and a half.
That's valid.
Now, is it Days of Our Steelers bad? No, but it's
Nope.
not far off.
Oh, it
Will
Dolan?
never get that bad.
Actually, I was gonna say, well, give it a minute, but then I realized Aaron goddamn Rodgers.
Yeah, no, it's not getting that bad.
It's not getting that bad.
No. But when it the Rangers this year seem to be more known for off the ice shit than stuff on it. And because of that, it's like, yeah, you're going in detail. Let me see where they were in the standings. Let's see. 5th in the Metro. Yeah, I'm fine putting them in D. But next, Ottawa.
Put him in B tier, automatic. Battle of Ontario was kind of disappointing, but again, Ottawa's still on schedule, so it's literally a case of they got to figure out who's in, who's out.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, solid fucking season.
And
now, next time the Habs are in town and I'm in the building, could you try to make it a better, game?
And yet, the sad thing is, once again, I won't say the sad thing. The morbid thing is, once again, Melnick passes away, and they start slowly improving, and they have been improving year on year.
That's why that they're going to be a team to watch in the next couple of seasons. The management's not the greatest in the world, but it is a far cry better than Melnick. And honestly, that's all you need. Also, I put a picture in council because, well, I was at that blowout. I was at that Montreal blowout at the Canadian Tire Bell Center.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh. But
a screenshot from Hockey Night in Canada.
Mm-hmm. But next we have the Philadelphia Flyers. Oh. It is kind of funny.
Mid, but they're getting there.
Yeah. I'd say C.
Yeah.
C sounds right.
Which is
they're still mid, but it's only a matter of time.
They were showing, even though they were the worst in the Metro, they are showing improvement. It's certainly better than they were a few years ago. It's a case where they need a piece to really help improve them. So free agency is going to be interesting with them. Hopefully they can do better, because ultimately what I want to see is slugfests between Flyers and Pens again. But then we get to the fucking Penguins.
Oh.
Yep, D.
Look, Sydney, there's nothing wrong with finishing your career with the Penguins. We admire you for it, but if you want a cup chase, maybe sticking around with the Penguins isn't a good idea.
The Penguins seem to be a bunch of old gits right now. Like it's a bunch of guys who are way too long in the tooth. And I'd say they're in the same they're in the same position that a lot of teams are. That happens a lot where they're like, oh, well, these guys were successful for us in the past. Let's bring them back in. That's not how this works. And when it comes to the Penguins, I honestly think they've got too many anchors to really be moving forward anytime soon. The only thing that's going to be moving forward is Liquor in Pittsburgh.
If you're a sorry, Tree. I think you're about to get a little bit drunkard this upcoming season.
But then we have the San Jose Sharks.
Who? Fucking who?
The Sharks were bottom of the Pacific. And they also are in the similar position because they vastly overextended contracts for guys who are going to be in their mid-30s. It was a case of you guys are just drifting about, and you really need to start blowing shit up.
It's just not the same without Jumbo Joe.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, congratulations to Joe Thornton, who was going to be inducted in this year's class of the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta give him that.
More than well earned and deserved.
Oh yeah.
It is. The only shame is that he couldn't get the cup. He couldn't get the hoist the cup.
So I blame him not being able to hoist the cup on Peter DeBoer being Peter DeBoer.
It is what it is there.
But next up we have the Kraken, who
C tier, because again, growing pains, and comparing the Kraken to the teams in D tier seems unfair right now.
They're past the welcome to the NHL. Here's your expansion style ass kicking phase.
Yeah, they're beyond that, and now they're just in a build mode, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. But at the very least, they're showing signs of improvement. But keep at it. Maybe have some of the Kraken collab with the fish guys. I know you did that for the expansion draft, but you can always run that kind of thing back. Plus, it's a way to have anything that helps the draft feel more entertaining. I will always go along with. But then we have the St. Louis Blues.
Oofa.
It's like they finally got it. They finally got out of the losers club, and this has been a long ass championship hangover. I'm putting them in D because I'm not seeing any sign of improvement.
That's where I have them as well.
And within the Central Division, they were mid. They were fifth. But
goddamn, St. Louis, do better.
Mm-hmm. But then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning were second in the Atlantic. Actually, know what when it comes to the Blues, I have to put them in B because they did make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they did.
They made the playoffs, but it was a case of just falling short against Winnipeg.
Yep.
Whereas the Lightning, we had the much vaunted Battle of Florida, and I think the Lightning's window is starting to shut in front of their face.
Little bit.
So I'm putting them in B. You made the playoffs, but you need to do something now, or you're gonna have to blow it up soon. But then, a moment that some of us have been waiting for: the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Which, according to Brother Ball on YouTube, is literally 21,240 days since a cup, 1,950 days since losing to an AHL Zamboni driver, and 7 days until Marmer and Tavares become UFAs.
I know that I've made a semi-career of laughing at the Leafs. I mean, they make it so easy.
This one's tough.
But this is
because, of course, you laugh at them losing to the Panthers in the second round, but this was their window with their current core.
This was their last chance.
And Marner are gone. They are UFAs. And honestly, if I am Leafs management, if Tavares wishes to stay, he can stay. Marner can fuck right off. In fact, I'm surprised they're not considering trading fucking Matthews right now, because that's the thing. He is not a playoff player, man. It showed in the Four Nations face-off, and it showed here too. Oh yeah, he's fancy with the plays. He puts the puck in the net, but the minute it really counts, crickets.
Would you say that he is Tony Romo? Actually, no, not Tony Romo. He's Zeke.
Bingo. Ezekiel Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
QB.
Yeah, and funny that all three of them are Cowboys. Were at some point. Because I have called the Leafs the Cowboys of hockey, and I maintain that. But it's even worse here because there were a bunch of folks who had brought up that this is the 7th time in a row that they have gotten eliminated in a Game 7 in embarrassing fashion. And Game 7 for that series against Florida, this is worse than the last time. Last time was just angering the gods of irony. This is a case of not showing up. The people who were throwing jerseys...
They did not show up, period.
The people who were throwing jerseys on the ice were showing up more than the guys who were playing. And I think at this point, I do not expect the Leafs to show up in the postseason next year. For no other reason than your core. You are not going to have your core four anymore. You're going to have to fill in holes, and I don't think they're going to be able to get people good enough to fill those holes and run things back. It could happen. Obviously, anything can happen. It's just not something I see happening. But at the very least, I've seen less and less. Maybe this is just because I don't watch Sportsnet enough as much as I used to, because, well, I miss Tim and Sid. I've told you that before.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't even think Tim and Friends is a thing anymore. I think it didn't.
Tim and Friends ended a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Tim, I think, works on the Sportsnet news gimmick.
Mm-hmm. but I haven't seen as much gassing up of the Leafs as I've seen the last few times. I don't know. Maybe the whole "we want Florida" thing was a humbling experience. Because I don't know if it was last season or the one before that where Leafs media was going, this is a surefire winner, and then they got completely embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say a big thing is you need to measure your expectations. It's, every year we have to hear about whether or not this is going to be the year for the Leafs. Get past the second round, then we will talk about whether or not you can become Stanley Cup contenders.
If they stay pat, get some players and everything else that are supposed to be good, and blow all the money they've blown in the first place, it's cup or bust.
Yeah.
Period.
And
in fact, it was cup or bust this year. Next year, it's even more cup or bust.
And Vegas will tell you that going that level of insane every year has its risks. But things are going to be very different for the Leafs next year, especially with the fact that the Shanna plan is over.
Oh yeah, they fired Brandon Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
After that dud of a show up, he was the last piece of that management core. He was the last guy there. He was the one guy. He was the one cancer, in a sense, left to cut.
Yeah. I'd say the other failing was, I can't remember who said it, but one of the members of the core force saying that they had too many passengers, which
I believe that might have been Marn. You have to Google that.
Yeah, but
that might have been Matthews.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Matthews is the guy.
He's not.
And
I just checked it. It's on Facebook. It is Mr. Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Which, irony, because he was a fucking passenger in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes, like with Matthews, the question is, okay, are you gonna pay him what he's asking?
Fuck no.
Yeah. And I seriously doubt he's taking a pay cut.
He's as good as gone. And if I'm anybody in that locker room, good fucking riddance. We need winners, not players. And you are a great player.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a winner. Again, look at the Four Nations. Look at how mid you are. You consistently are in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Nylander, I don't think he's sticking around.
Again, interesting offseason coming up.
Mm-hmm. So, if you had to take bets on who would be desperate enough to try and grab Shanahan, my money is on Buffalo.
That or Calgary.
But then we have the Vancouver Canucks.
I don't know how to feel here. And I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, so they were 5th in the Pacific. I think the big
Put them square and C level. Or actually, that would be D level, wouldn't it?
Do you feel that they've been showing signs of improvement year on year?
Not recently. Yeah, they're definitely D tier.
I feel like that's the deciding factor. If they weren't great, but they were showing improvement compared to years past, then they go up to C. But the Canucks are another case where I'm just not seeing any movement. They're good enough to win games, but they're not good enough to make the dance. And that brings us to Vegas. Vegas had their big celebration with, even if they were first in the Pacific. And I think Vegas was good. It's just that Edmonton was better, and we saw that because they kicked the Wild's ass in a pretty decent series. Then Edmonton happened, and they just died a death. So honestly, I'd put them in A.
Yeah, they've had a great season.
They had a great season. I'd have to double check which team won the President's Trophy this year.
President's Trophy winners were the Jets.
But speaking of which, the Jets, who were first in the Central Division, I do feel like they are improving. I mean, they lost that all-in run a while back and lost like a good chunk of their team to free agency. They managed to do better than I expected against Dallas, but Dallas is out for blood, so we saw how that was going to go. I think it's just a case of they were a good team that just happened to run into a better team. So I'd say I'm fine with putting them in A.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine with that too.
But I have the updated logo for it, but then we have what was at the time known as the Utah Hockey Club. I'm glad that only lasted 1 year.
So on their first year, you would say, okay, they didn't do too well, so that's D class, which is all fair. But I'm like, you know what? They're a fart sight better than the last season the Arizona Coyotes did. So just on that notion, put them in C tier.
Yeah. They are still dealing with some really, really bad contracts, so I don't expect them to make the postseason for a while. But they are showing signs of improvement. I know some people still feel bad about the whole Arizona situation, but I look at that whole thing as not necessarily a team getting screwed over, but the end of a long, long, painful divorce proceeding. Like, that team should have gotten out of Arizona years ago just because of how untenable and how cursed the situation was.
And yet, Bettman continues to be fucking stubborn on those things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you end up having 3 different owners in the span of less than a decade, there's a problem. And look, if you know your last year, you're in a college stadium because the city would rather have a landfill than give you a new stadium.
Here's your sign.
Well, in all fairness, I'm not sure the Coyotes actually did anything to earn a new stadium, or even earn a move to a different one. Like when the Leafs got up, the Leafs needed to get the hell out of Barclays for starters. Not the Leafs, the Islanders. Them going to Belmont. Going to Belmont was a way to make up for the fact that them being at the Barclays Center was a terrible, terrible idea. You know,
I'll say this: the last few years of the of the Arizona Coyotes, I did not mind that last arena.
yeah,
I may be in the minority there, but that's how I feel. They did not have a bad last arena.
It is a nice place, and do I think Arizona can support a hockey team? Yes, but
You just need the owner to do it, and whoever the fuck it was, he was not it. Excuse me, he was not it.
There's also the fact that you need to actually, throughout the entire time, they didn't do much postseason wise, and that's one of those things that can really create a problem. As much as some people will make jokes about the fact that they're constant bridesmaids, at least they've made the dance when it comes to the postseason. That, and there's also the advantage of in both high school, college, and the pros, Minnesota is a state of hockey.
They'll get there eventually.
So although if they're going to call themselves the Mammoths, we need to see a mammoth float for one of their games. I'm not asking you to bring out an elephant. We don't need a repeat of WrestleMania 9.
Or Harold fucking Ballard.
Although...
and I'm a Habs fan. That's a curse for you fuckers.
Although, I would be okay with the elephant on one condition. You have Gary Bettman playing the role of Bobby Heenan.
Yes. Do it. Do it.
But last but certainly not least, we have the Washington Capitals. And I realize the meme is kind of dead, but I have to go with it anyways. Congratulations, you still can't make it past the second round.
How the fuck do you lose to the goddamn Hurricanes?
The Hurricanes showed up. The Capitals ran out of gas. But here's the thing. Despite all that, they had an A-tier season.
Yeah, they were balling.
They were balling, and they had Alexander Ovechkin, the all-time scoring leader.
Mm-hmm.
That happened during that season with that team. On that momentum alone, A-tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But for the love of God, get Ovi some help.
Yeah, that would be, that is absolutely a necessity now.
Mm-hmm. He's getting up. He's probably, I'm not saying he's on his last year, but he's not far off. And
would not surprise me to see him close.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to get him some help by bringing Mojo back, but that didn't work. But they need to get some people in the draft to help out that situation, because if he's carrying the team by himself, it is not going to work out.
It has not so far.
Especially since there are some sports where you can have that one guy who carries a team. In hockey, you need guys on all four lines if you want to get anywhere.
It's become that in the NBA where you can't just rely on one or two stars anymore. It's been the same in the NHL. Seldom does a team succeed at winning a Stanley Cup with just four guys or just two guys. You need quality depth.
Oh, for the longest time.
That's why the Panthers and Oilers made it this far and made it this good of a series, despite the fact of it going only 6 games instead of the 7.
Yeah, pretty much. The other issue is the fact that having top heavy teams is not something that you can barely do that in the NBA these days. You could during that super team era of the 2010s, but not so much now. And you definitely can't do that in hockey. Rotation is key in a game that's as fast paced as hockey. And I will note I know it seems like we've got a lot of D, which may make people think, a lot of the teams are mid. It's not that. It's more of they weren't showing signs of improvement this year. They were just drifting about. Some of them is a case of managerial incompetence, some is a case of rotten luck, and some a case of paying way too much on people who are not producing. One of the great myths when it comes to sports is the idea that if you throw a bunch of money at a roster, you can go far or win a championship. We've seen that fail more often than succeed. Now, some people still think that the Rangers bought the cup in '94.
They didn't, but it's a conspiracy theory that exists to this day.
But it's mostly Long Island who insist on that. I mean, they have a whole chant about it. And there's one thing New Yorkers love to do is complain. But I will say part of the reason I hope that the Four Nations face-off becomes more of a thing and maybe bring in additional nations if you could spare the room is first off, you end up pantsing the All-Star game for the NBA, which
Jesus, that was that
was barely an All-Star game, and I'm like, you fuckers deserve to lose that Christmas slot. And in fact, NHL, you have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. Do a marquee thing like a Battle of Ontario or something like that on Christmas Day.
Totally.
They do that in Ottawa. That is I'd buy a ticket to that if they did that.
Yeah, because I guarantee you that would. I know for the longest time Christmas Day was the NBA's spot, but they keep fucking around with all the stuff that's been happening with the NBA. They're gonna lose that spot, and well, last year they did. They lost it to the NFL, who did a Netflix game. But I can certainly say that things are going to be interesting. I expect a few nukes to be dropped. I'm not going to be doing a live reaction stream to the trade deadline.
That's urinating tree's job anyway.
Yeah. I might look at it here and there. What I'm looking for is to see who's going to drop the nuke, because somebody's going to make some sort of steal. And if my Wild end up doing that, I will be on the floor fucking laughing.
Hey, you know what? Brad Marchand is a free agent. Him landing anywhere other than Florida right now, that's a nuke right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My guess is, I think is what Steve Dangle and his podcaster are saying. He might wind up in Toronto. That's a nuke and a hell of a play, because they will need a player to get that done. Let me see. There's another name I want to think up here before. There's another team. Part of me was thinking, what if he's in the Habs? They need a player like that in their ranks. That he could be a massive help there. And that's just one player.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And I'd like to. So I decided to take a look at the apparently according to some of the odds makers, they are favoring the Oilers to get back in the Stanley Cup next year.
That's gonna take some doing, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible that most of the team is locked up. It's just a couple of core pieces. And there were a couple, they lost a couple of players in that final run that just made it difficult for Oilers to go over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
They got a full healthy team. Who knows?
What is going to be interesting is who is going to win the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. Because he's going to be the guy who a lot of people are going to want to get in the draft. And I'm not saying that he's the only guy people are going to want to go for. There's a lot of really good guys all over the place. But when he's being compared to Connor Bedard, then that's something you got to take notice of.
Shall be interesting to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Indeedy.
But with that said, that is going to do it for this. I will try and have it set up that we do predictions before the season starts. But I don't know if the season start date for the 25-26 season has been formally announced yet. If it has, I will eat crow on that, but I don't think it has yet. And not knowing that makes things tricky. But that being said, keep an eye out for what we've got coming down the pipe, because you know how it is around here. I'm always doing something. I will be collabing with Ava. Him and I are going to be going through Rematch. I don't know why I wrote it as the board game gauntlet when I wrote out the schedule for this week. But and I will be going into that semi-blind, because he ended up getting an advanced grab, and I ended up lucking out with a code for that. So that'll be fun. Chaotic, but that's how it goes. It is, and since Rematch is the seafood guys doing football, it should be interesting. And remember If things go bad, then tell the Italian football team to fire everyone.
Noted.
But with that said, as always, a sincere thanks to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come all the way to the monastery and enjoy the madness that happens here. And anytime you see fit to return, the door is always open. As I often say around here, drinking is not mandatory, but it is encouraged. I fucked up my own outro. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
soi 上洛な情緒